Hello everybody, this is English for You, the program that improves your English, hone your listening skill and sharpen your speaking skill. A very warm welcome. In the studio I have my Fazeka students. They are very nice today, they're very smart and good looking. Kata, how are you doing?
Fine, thank you.
Great. What's up, Sabo?
Everything's great.
Good. Victor, how's it hanging?
I'm happy because we have summer and everything's great.
Yeah, the summer vacation is coming
yes.
nearer and nearer. Victoria, how are you doing?
Fine, thank you.
Great. Today's special guest is Mr. Jim Barry from the United States, and he is here on a, or he's been here on a Fulbright scholarship program. How long have you been here, Jim?
I've been here since February.
Good. And how long are you staying here?
Till the end of July.
And you are interested in films, movies, right?
Yeah, films.
Good. But if we go back in time a little, let's go back to Seattle, Washington, your hometown, right?
Okay. Yeah, sure.
And you were an undergraduate at the University of Washington, am I right?
That's right.
And your two majors, your two most important subjects, your two majors were journalism and creative writing. Now I know what journalism is, or I think I know what it is, writing articles, essays, reports, things like this. But what about creative writing? What is it?
Creative writing, we took classes in which the professor would give us assignments to come up with short stories.
Poems?
Poems, possibly.
Oh, really?
These types of things.
Is it possible to teach how to write poetry, or?
Well, not so much poetry, but more it would be an assignment like describe your first memory, and then make a short story about it, something like this, or your first birthday.
It must be very interesting. It must be very interesting.
Yeah.
We don't have a thing like this. We don't have a subject like this in Hungarian secondary schools. It would be interesting. Wouldn't you like to write about your first memories? In English lessons, you have assignments like this. Right. And obviously, after leaving the university, you became a journalist. But I can see, and I'm going to see, a photograph. So is it the case that you became a journalist?
I became a photojournalist.
A photojournalist.
So I was responsible just for making pictures.
Do you recognize this guy? Victor?
It's Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan. So you took photos of basketball games?
A lot of basketball. Shot a lot of
Just
basketball.
sports?
No. I did a lot of daily assignment type of photography, but
Right. Here's going to be another photograph, and it's not about sport, but it's going to be of about yeah. So what is it, Jim?
This is just this was actually used as a weather picture, and it was just a nice day, kind of an interesting family setting in the small town where I was working. And,
so you had a comfortable job?
I had a nice job.
A nice job, making a lot of money.
Well, I didn't make very much money, but it was a great job. I
And
enjoyed
then
it.
you left your job for this, NYU. It's a kind of university. Any guesses, boys and girls?
New York.
New York University.
New York University.
Why? What was the drive?
Well, I wanted to live in New York, for one thing. I applied to get into NYU, and it's not very easy to get into NYU, and I was lucky to get in, so I thought that it would be a good opportunity to go to New York, experience New York, and study at this great film school and learn to make movies.
Right. You mentioned film school, so you studied filmmaking.
I did, yeah.
And I think every undergraduate has to come up with a thesis movie, sort of diploma movie or degree movie.
Right.
Thesis movie, but it's not very easy to raise money. Does everybody have to raise their own money to make this thesis movie?
Yeah, everybody does. And this was actually my graduate thesis project that
It's pretty tough.
Gonna talk
And would you be so kind as to read it out?
Oh, yeah,
I read it because obviously he made a film, and the credits, which comes after the film, I read this. Would you read it out, please?
This film is also made possible by a grant from the Alfred P. Sloan Foundation for the depiction of a science film.
So, a foundation is mentioned, Alfred P. Sloan Foundation, and a science film. Now, I asked you a couple of days ago that if you had the opportunity to make a film about science or about a scientist, who would you choose and why? Okay? And I would like to have the first picture, and I don't know whose picture.
That's mine.
That's okay. So what's the story,
It's
Kata?
Leonardo da Vinci, and I chose him because I think it's very. I respect him very much for the endurance, because a lot of his experiments failed and went wrong, but he hadn't even given up anything, and his dedicatedness to arts and science. I think it's very good when a man can do a lot of things like painting and in the same time describing or just drawing machines that work in life also.
Right, so would focus on his perseverance.
Yes.
That he never gave up. Right. Leonardo. By the way, do you think the Sloan Foundation would back up such a project, a Leonardo film?
Da Vinci, sure. Yeah.
Okay, he's a scientist, all right, and an
Absolutely.
artist.
Yeah.
Could we have the next picture, please? Oh, here we go. A gentleman wearing glasses. I don't think anyone can recognize this except for Victoria.
Yes, because it's my picture. His name is Klebersberg Kuno. And I love him. He's just great. Just look at him. He's a real gentleman, and he lived at the turn of the century. And
Which century?
At the turn of the 19th and 20th. And he reorganized the whole scientific life after Trianon, when the country was in an awful financial situation. He never had the money, so he had to use human power to just the knowledge and everything. And he's similar to Leonardo in this way, that he had great endurance and he was a genius in organizing.
Okay, so basically, he was a great organizer and a politician and a scientist.
Everything.
Again, my question, Jim, do you think the Sloan Foundation would sponsor such a movie?
I think there's a good possibility, yeah.
Good. Now, we're going to have a sentence, again, from the credits, and it says that it's going to come up pretty soon. Written, directed, and photographed by Jim Barry. So, he made a film. Yes, please?
Yes, I think it's mine.
Oh,
But,
really? Oh, no, okay, fine.
Okay,
But-
mine picture.
Yeah, it's a sort of cock-up, that's what we call it, but it's going to be all right. So written, directed, and photographed by Jim Barry. So this is a film, and I think it's just excellent, because at the University of Washington, he studied creative writing, written by. Then he became a photographer, photographed, and at New York University, he studied film, so he directed it. That's excellent. It's really his child, this film, so to speak. And we're going to have the next picture, which is the hero or the protagonist from the film. Obviously, you're not going to recognize this person in life because he's an actor, but you're going to recognize him in the film. And this is going to be your task. We're going to listen to the first minute of the film, Group 1. Which city are we in? We are going to go to a general hospital, and we are going to go to a ward. Now, a ward is a large room in a hospital where patients lie. Your job is to catch the name of the city where this general hospital was. Group 2, a kind of disease, a kind of fever is mentioned. What kind of fever? Would you roll the tape, please?
Dear Professor Fekete, you ask about our progress at Vienna General Hospital. Director Klein insists on the continued practice of bloodletting and other human tortures, though they show no signs of preventing childbed fever. The women lying in are perpetually afraid as they watch the beds around them empty. Jakub Kolečka. My friend and colleague advises me to step back and let nature have her way. For me, the first ward has become an inferno, a waiting room for death, a flag declaring my failure here.
Right. Could you catch the name of the city? No? Szabolcs? Anybody? Vienna. Vienna General Hospital. And if my memory serves me well, the date is 1849. Your question was, what fever is mentioned? Vicky?
I couldn't catch it.
No?
Some kind of a fever.
Blood. It was. They had problems with their blood, like
This is it.
childbed fever.
Childbed fever. Who do you think the scientist is? Now we are in Vienna, but the scientist is Hungarian.
Semmelweis Ignác.
Excellent. Say it again.
Semmelweis Ignác.
Good. Semmelweis is called the savior of mothers, right? Okay, good. What is the whole atmosphere like? Kata?
A little bit, well, very much depressing, and because it's photographed in black and white pictures, it's like a document of the
Like a
that time.
documentary,
Yes.
like a documentary. Right, and it's not very easy to understand the pronunciation because there's a strong German accent. Why, Jim?
Well, we wanted to. For the actors, it was tough. Obviously, Semmelweis spoke Hungarian and German, and to make an English-speaking film, we needed to have the actors speak English, obviously. So we decided it's something that you see in a lot of period movies, where it's an old movie where they should be speaking Russian or something, and they speak English. So we decided just to go with a little bit of an accent to give it a little bit of a flavor of the time and the place.
Good. Any Hungarian connection back in the States? Do you have any Hungarian connection?
Personally, like,
Yeah.
no.
No, nothing.
no.
So how did you stumble on the Semmelweis story?
Well, I wrote the script after to apply for the Sloan Foundation grant. You saw the little clip of on the television, and I won the grant, and then decided to try to make the movie.
But how did you meet Semmelweis?
Well, I went to the library and did some research and found the story and the character in a book, in an old book, and it really talked to me because he's such a great character, it's such a great story, and also because there aren't that many Americans that know about Semmelweis. So for me, it was a new story. I mean, you guys all knew, but it's not taught.
So you liked the whole story very much?
Yeah, it's a great
Good.
story. Yeah.
Right, excellent. We're going to have a picture quite soon, and I would like Szabolcs to describe the picture. So what can you see in the picture?
In the picture, well, we can see an operation. This doctor is operating on a woman, maybe, and it's a blood-full operation. You can see
What kind of operation?
blood-full. It's full of blood everywhere, if I'm right. He's using some special tools.
What would you call this tool? You cut the body
That
with?
special knife.
Scalpel.
Scalpel. Scalpel. Scalpel. Very sharp knife, a scalpel. Good. Are you sure it's an operation? Look at the person lying there.
Or maybe it's just a model operation.
Bearing. No. The child is being born.
Let me help you. This is the word for it in American English. This is an autopsy. An operation on, well, I wouldn't call it an operation. I mean, to cut a dead body open in order to find the cause of death. So this is an autopsy. In British English, most people would call it a post-mortem examination. You agree with this?
Absolutely.
So in America, it's this one, autopsy, British English, post-mortem examination. Why is it important? I mean, we are in a hospital, general hospital. Women were there lying in, giving birth. What about this autopsy?
Well, the importance of the autopsies in the story of Semmelweis, that this is where the sickness of the fever was actually coming from. the students and the doctors were performing these autopsies, and then they were just wiping their hands and then going in and examining women and delivering babies and passing this infection into the women.
And what happens to Kolechka? That's his
Kolechka.
name. What happens to him?
Kolechka actually gets pricked by a scalpel, and he dies of a blood infection, which has the same symptoms as women that die of childbed fever. And this is how Semmelweis sees the correlation between just simple blood infection and this idea of childbed fever.
Thank you very much. We're going to have the names of 4 specialists. Obstetrician, everybody please.
Obstetrician,
Pediatrician,
pediatrician,
gynecologist,
gynecologist,
pathologist.
pathologist.
I hope you don't know the meaning, so would you just choose one? And if you are happy, give me a confident look. And I'm going to ask you then to try and match the definition and the name of the specialist. Victoria, you are
Yes.
confident enough?
I think so, yeah.
Yep.
Shall I read it down now?
Yes, please.
A specialist in examining dead bodies to find out the cause of death. That's a pathologist.
You're absolutely right. Pathologist is out. I can see desperate faces. Look at that. Look at that. No idea?
Maybe.
Okay,
Maybe.
try a
A
lot.
specialist in children and their illnesses is pediatrician.
You're absolutely right. Pediatrician. Children and their illnesses. In Hungarian?
Gyerekorvos.
Good. Szabolcs, Kata? Szabolcs.
Okay, it's a specialist in diseases of the female sex organs. Well, it's 50%. Gynecologist.
Gynecologist in Hungarian?
Nőgyógyász.
Good. And Kata, please?
A specialist in the birth of children and its obstetrician.
Obstetrician, which Semmelweis was an obstetrician, and Kolechka was a pathologist.
That's right.
All right, good. Okay, what happens to Semmelweis in the following sequence? Try to memorize the very powerful visual images. But basically, what happens in the sequence? Would you roll the tape, please? Victor, please.
He had nightmares. And so he had nightmares compared with dead bodies and women.
What was the most powerful visual image? To me, the hands.
The hands and the women's gestures.
Gestures,
and
yeah.
face.
There was a woman and a woman's gesture. Thank you very much. Great. Now, this is another sequence. Group 1, what's inside the bowl or basin? So you're gonna see a very special container. What's inside it? Group 2, what's the trainee doctor's attitude like? So there are going to be a couple of trainee doctors. What is their attitude like? Roll the tape, will you?
I have an announcement. Please, to come. In this container is a solution of chloride of lime that I would ask you all to soak and scrub your hands in before examining any women lying in. Is this understood? You see? Yes.
I beg the instructor's pardon, but why are we being asked to wash?
I have a hypothesis, quite important to an experiment that I'm currently conducting. So, I invite you to indulge me. Like this, with the nail brush.
Right, so what's in the bowl?
It's a kind of disinfecting liquid.
Chlorine. Congratulations, chlorine. A yellowish green or a greenish yellow gas. Good. And what about the attitude? Victoria, please.
They were reserved and didn't like the idea. They even asked him why they have to do it, because it wasn't natural to them.
Right. So they were incredulous. They didn't really believe that it's any good. Thank you very much. Now, we're going to have this word, protocol, fixed rules, accepted behavior. So, for example, if a teacher goes into the classroom, students stand up. Then the teacher says, good morning. Students say, good morning. They sit down. The teacher smiles at them, and the students smile back. So this is a sort of protocol. Now, you're going to have this question. So what is the protocol Semmelweis instituted, enacted, sorry. And, okay, this is it for everybody. Would you roll the tape?
Doctor, it has come to my attention that you have enacted a new protocol on the first ward.
Indeed, sir. As a matter of fact,
There is a precise order for the introduction of new protocol, Doctor. Script a formal report. Present this report to your director and then await your director's decision.
The full report will be on your desk before you arrive in the morning, Sir Director.
Not good enough in this case. You instituted a protocol without my counsel. Where is your code of ethics, Doctor?
I only ask that they wash their hands after their work with the cadavers.
Right. So what was the new protocol, Kotta?
They had to wash their hands.
Right, after working with the cadavers, the dead bodies, the cadavers. Okay, good. This is what Dr. Klein, the director, said. You instituted a protocol without my counsel, without my advice, without talking to me. I think this is one of the key sentences in the movie. Dr. Klein was very, very angry with Semmelweis because he instituted something new without asking the boss. Okay? The last but one sequence we're going to see, Semmelweis is in front of a committee. Group 1. What's Semmelweis' point of view? Group 2, what's the committee's point of view? Roll the tape, please.
The most effective agent in destroying contagion and the putrid odors of death, I deduced that a thorough washing in a solution of chloride of lime would eliminate all contagion.
Dr. Semmelweis, childbed fever is a specific, non-contagious female illness. It is caused by cosmic, telluric influences, miasma.
Sir, what exactly is a miasma?
It is a noxious emanation.
Influences not of this world.
Not of this world and completely unpredictable, as I've told you many times, Doctor.
Right. So what's Semmelweis' point of view, Szabolcs?
Well, maybe he thinks that these infections are caused by real viruses and the real things, not what the committee says.
So, in other words, he thinks that childbed fever is contagious. It can be passed on from one person to another, right? And what's the committee's point of view, Victor?
They are caused by cosmic things, so I don't know.
Cosmic something, miasma,
Yes.
which is a sort of evil spirit from outer world, okay? What's the end of the story, Jim?
Well, it's a sad ending. Semmelweis returns, actually, well, he returns to Hungary, and he had a number of successful years here in Hungary, and then he went crazy and he died in an insane asylum.
Yeah. What kind of a character was Semmelweis? What kind of a person was he?
He's a very interesting character because he had a very gentle manner with his patients, but if you didn't wash your hands, look out. He was belligerent and mean, you know. So he was kind of a double.
Right. What do you think about your movie? I mean, when do you think it's going to be a Hollywood box office hit?
Well, I'm here writing a feature, so hope maybe that'll be a box office hit someday.
So
This is just a short. This is just, you know, the short movie, but.
You would need a lot of money to make it a real film, a feature film, a 1.5-hour film.
Yeah, I'd need
right.
quite a lot
Good
of
luck
money.
to it, and thank you for coming,
Thanks.
Jim.
Thanks very
Good
much.
luck.
It's fun.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Goodbye.